What's in the stars and the cards ahead for you this week? Say hello as you tune in. I'm so excited to chat with you this week. I'm going to make sure that I am live in all the places because this is a very interesting week ahead. There's incredible downloads, insights, truth bombs coming in. So I want to make sure that you have all of the necessary insight and information going into this week to make the most of it. Hello, Julie. So glad you could join us live. Yay. All right. Tech is working today. Fantastic. Good old Mercury retrograde. So let's jump in. I'm going to invite you to place your hand on your heart and tune in and just ask, what is the most important thing that you need to know going into this week ahead? And I'm using the beautiful star code cards. And I'll show you the box in a moment, but just tune in, ask what's most important that you need to know. And I'm seeing who is popping up. You're going to just take a moment because it is a little bit foggy as we're going into this week. Mercury is retrograde. Nobody's really popping up. Okay, who's going to come? There we go. South Node. And she's reversed. So I'm using these cards this week, was called to use them. And let's dive into this. So the South Node is about the gifts that you brought into this world, the skills, the mastery. And sometimes when we are so many things coming through, I want to say, let's say when it's easy, we're content, things are working, we've worked to a certain level of proficiency, we have our 10,000 hours in. It's a lovely thing to just be able to step into what we know and to do it. We don't have to think about it. It comes with ease because we've already been through the hard part. What's interesting is that whenever we are looking to grow our brain and really enhance neuroplasticity and really sharpen our wit, and you think about Mercury, it's the mind, it's intellect, it's important to do things that we're unfamiliar with. Yes, we want to have things that we don't have to think about, like our keys are always in the same places. Maybe certain bills are on auto payment. We don't have to think about, getting out of bed in the morning to excruciating details. But every now and then, brushing your teeth with a non-dominant hand, stepping off the curb with a non-dominant foot, opening up doors with a non-dominant hand, writing, taking a different way to work or to the store, that is going to create new neural pathways, and it's going to enable you to step into what the yogis call beginner mindset, the ability to see life with new eyes. Because what happens is when we stay in our level of mastery and our skill set and we keep doing what comes with ease, it didn't a long time ago. Like walking was hard at one point, getting up and taking care of ourselves was hard at one point, brushing our own teeth, maybe even doing more complicated work, like in the profession you're in, you had to go through a period of being the newbie and struggling. Those things come easy. And we get to a certain point in life where we're not used to having to learn new things, and we hesitate. We hold back. We fall into what we know. We fall into the comfortable routine. It becomes automatic. And that can be a good thing, not totally bad. But what happens is we start to atrophy. Our mind isn't as flexible as it used to be. We're not as mobile or agile. So what the South Node is saying is, yes, you want to feed your South Node. I love that concept, saying you want to inspire and do the things that you love and that come with ease, because if you don't, she'll be hungry and she'll hold you back from reaching your North Node, the goal in your life, what you've come here to accomplish. But avoid getting stuck here in the comfortable. So this week, the way that it's unfolding and playing, and I get goosebumps. It's so beautiful. And you start to think of it, the stars, the chart, like a piece of music. And you're like, how do I want to play this? I've got all these notes in front of me. Oh my gosh. And there's this great video out there. You'll need to find it. It's available on YouTube. John Batiste, the beautiful musician, he takes a piece of Beethoven's music and he plays it as Beethoven would have intended, and then he jazzes it up and he adds his flavor and flair to it. So that's kind of like what the South Node is saying in reverse, is take what you know, sure, but jazz it up, add something to it. Know that you don't have to stay just in what's comfortable. This is very exciting. So let's jump into the week. Hello to everyone else who's jumped on. Let me see if I can get rid of this little sign. Good morning, Chrissy. Good morning, Ya Romero. Great to have you. Yes, Freedom, Julie. So for those of you in the Moon Club, we had a beautiful new moon ceremony for Leo last week, and we danced to that song Freedom by John Batiste. Fantastic. I really encourage you to do it. Huh, such exciting times. And by the way, if we haven't met, my name's Irina Miller. I'm a spiritual life guide and astrologer. I love to guide curious empathic seekers to the sacred tools and practices that enable you to step into the life that you were born to live. So I love to guide you, the empathic curious seeker. Thank you for being here. Without further ado, let's talk about the week ahead. So as we look at the week ahead, what's happening is we're moving into an energy that's building. We had the new moon last Thursday, and now we're building in light once again. It's a slow go, but your energy, you might notice, especially if you're moon sensitive, meaning you notice when it's a full moon, you notice when it's a new moon, you might have extra energy, can't sleep during the full moon. You might have a hard time staying awake during the new moon. You might be extra sleepy. It's a general thing. But if you are drawn to the moon, if she catches your eye at night, then what you might start to feel is that energy is building. And so, therefore, you want to start to put energy into your dreams. Whatever new moon intention or inspiration that came your way, you're going to want to nurture this week. As we get to Friday, we have a first quarter moon, which just means you'll have enough information by Friday to make some kind of decisions on your next best steps. And Chrissy, you said you felt the Virgo energy yesterday, more productive. I know, I love it. That's the other really cool thing about moon sensitives and why I created Moon Club in the first place. And I keep talking about it. So by the way, if you want to check it out, irinamiller.co/club, I will put it up on the screen. You can kind of see what it's all about. But what we do is we track the moon and you start to notice where is the moon day to day. And what are you feeling? What are you picking up? The moon journal that I made, which is great. And I've got digital copies available now. You can track where's the moon in that day? What's my mood? And let me pull a card. What that does is it gives you data. And you can use that data to look back and say, wow, Virgo moons, I'm really productive. That's great. I can plan to get my to-do list completely done. And I don't have to beat myself up when it's a Leo moon, because during a Leo moon, I might want to play. Or a Sagittarius moon, I might want to go outside and just run off and go on an adventure. We have times and places and rhythms. And that's what getting into step with the cosmos, into step with the rhythms and cycles of the earth give us is a freedom to stop beating ourselves up, to say, oh, why can't I be like that? Everybody gets on me for being too sensitive and taking everything too personally. And they're like, oh, I was born with a moon in Cancer. Of course I'm going to take things too personally. And then you have your moon and Capricorn friends that help you out and say, oh, all right, let's just stop. Crying's not going to help. Let's build a bridge, cry your river. Let's get over. Actually, the Capricorns aren't even going to let you cry the river. Come on, build the bridge. We'll deal with the emotions later. So I love it because we all need each other. There is a reason why your soul came in, built the way it did. There's something that you're here to do. And that North Node is a piece of the story. So when we see for the energy of this week that the South Node reversed is that overarching theme, it's saying, okay, there's something that you've become very skilled at, which is wonderful, but it might be holding you back from where you want to go because you're stuck in the routine, the familiar. Yes, feed the familiar, feed the South Node. There was a beautiful analogy that was given by one of my teachers. And she said, if you're really, really hungry, it's hard to focus and get the work done. So feed your tummy. Feed the little hungry part of yourself so that you can get the job done. You can go and do what you need to do. Hello, Hannah. So great to have you here. Okay, so let's move on. Looking at day by day, the moon in play. Haha, a little bit of rhyming. So with Monday we kick off and the moon is in Virgo. And so with that Virgo moon, you can still ride this energy of to-do list, get things done, get things organized. Oh, I put that up there, Anna. Sorry about that. You can what you can do is you can really feel productive with a Virgo moon. What I'm going to say with this Virgo moon is let's go ahead no, I'll bring this through, because what popped into my head was a Page of Swords as I was getting ready to pull a star card. And the Page of Swords is keep your nose in your own book, kind of like don't get distracted by the things going on around you. There are a lot of distractions always. And this week, the breakthrough, that truth bomb, is going to come through in the silence. So, a sacred practice that can be very potent and powerful this week is simply sitting in the quiet. My teacher that I learned mediumship from, he would have us sit like blindfolded or just in a dark closet for 3 to 5 minutes. And no practice, meaning you're not trying to meditate, you're not trying to focus on your breath, you're not journaling, you're just simply sitting. You can ask a question and then just simply sit. And as the thoughts come and bubble up, you think of them like clouds or like a bubble. And you're like, oh, there's a thought. And I'm going to just let it go. If it's important, it'll come back. Oh, there's a thought. But get yourself where you can resensitize yourself again. Because here's the thing about the guidance this week and that truth bomb that's coming through, the downloads and insights, is that often it comes through in a subtlety, in a whisper, in a quiet voice. It's not always fireworks and lightning and thunder. It can be, but more often than not, when we're going in our day-to-day or through our day-to-day actions, intuition comes through as subtle, quiet nudges, whispers, hints, clues, feelings that we get. I should call so-and-so. I should do this, and we should all over ourselves, but there's this feeling. And I say should because there's that resistance. And if we're stuck in our south node, what's comfortable, familiar, we might resist reaching out and calling the person and inviting them to coffee, or pitching our boss for a raise, saying, hey, I've done this work. I'm ready for the next step. Give yourself time in the quiet, and it can make all the difference. The other thing, too, is that when we are distracted by what others are doing, it detracts you from your purpose, your North Node, part of your North Star. Where are you going? And North Star and North Node are different. I'm kind of using language interchangeably here. And North Node's just a piece of the story. That's why it's lovely to get your chart done and say, why am I here? Okay, so Monday, Virgo energy. Ooh, 2 cards popped out. Okay, so we have Mars taking action. And we have the strength. Oh, dignified. Okay, so it's a strength type of card. So when a planet is dignified, here's what I want to say about that. These both popped out reversed as well. Where are you hesitating to take action? Where do you feel that you might be in detriment? Where you feel like, I just am not naturally gifted or skilled at this. I don't know if I can do it. Maybe you had there's a great story that I heard from one of my teachers. She wrote her first book, and it took her forever to write it. And it was so precious, and it meant so much. She sent it off to an editor, and the person who was a friend, the editor, and they reached back out to her after a long period of silence. And they said, I have one question for you after reading this. And my teacher, so excited, was like, okay, what's the question? And the editor said, is English your first language? Oh my God, can you imagine? And it totally wrecked her. She stopped writing. She threw the manuscripts in a closet, and she forgot about it for years until she got those nudges and hints to try again. And the angels brought somebody incredible across her path to help her out. So where in your life has maybe someone said something like, oh, I'm not looking at you. You're just too much, or you can't focus. Cancel clear to lead that stuff, because that's keeping you stuck in the South Node. There are skills that you're here to develop. You weren't born with them. You weren't supposed to be born with them. Use the gifts you were born with to develop the skills you need to have to fulfill your dream. Holy cannoli. I get on my soapbox. So yes, utilize what you have. Utilize the cards you were dealt, so to speak. But realize that you don't just have to play with the cards you were dealt, right? You can ask for another one from the dealer. Like, hit me again. I need another one. Let me swap this one out. This one isn't good for the hand that I want to play. No, this is a dance. It's not totally out of our hands. We can't control everything, no. but we can engage with the energy. You can choose to approach it with an open heart, a beginner's mindset, like, okay, I'm open and willing to learn something new. Or we approach it with, like, it's always worked this way in the past, it should still work this way. No, but exciting times. So just double check, ask yourself, why am I hesitating? What's blocking me? Is it something that someone said to me ages ago that's holding me back? Now, Tuesday, the moon moves into Libra, and Libra is about finding the sweet spot. We think of the Libra as the scales, and you might think, oh, balance, equanimity, harmony. Yes, that is what the Libran is striving for. Do they have it? No. They have to learn it in this lifetime. So they can go to two extremes. And again, on the pathway of life and of yoga, you learn this with balancing poses. Sometimes you have to go all the way to one extreme and then the other extreme in order to find the sweet spot, the middle or the fulcrum. How can you know what the pathway of harmony and balance is if you don't know your boundaries? And one of the first things that I always do with my energy students who come into the Energy Alchemist Mastering Intuition program, my one-on-one clients, is I teach them their energetic boundaries, how to strengthen their energetic field, practicing good energetic hygiene, how to release everybody else's thoughts and wishes and dreams and labels that have been dumped in their space. And I am going to share that with you. A lot of you already have it. See, irenamiller.co/get calm, and you can download that practice. It's a 2-minute audio there. But that's so important going forward, because what it does is it helps teach you your boundaries. I remember in college, it was funny. I found this real interesting group of people to hang out with my freshman year, and they were all like, so and so likes you. And I thought, really? And so I didn't feel it in my heart, but still went out with the person. And I realized I had to explore that edge of the boundary. People were telling me, this is what you should do. You should go out with this person. You should do this. You know who would be great for you. All right, let me explore that boundary. And I realized, nope, not me, not a match. And then, you have to swing to the other side. You're like, oh, I'm really into this person. You're like, oh, nope, not for me, not a match. And then you find your sweet spot. But it's beautiful when you give yourself permission to say, oh, it wasn't a mistake. It wasn't a failure. It was an exploration. It was that ability to kind of test the boundaries to find the pathway of the middle. So this exercise can help you. irenamiller.co/get calm. Hannah, I'm so glad. It's a great joy to have you here. Thank you for being here. So moving on, Wednesday. This is very interesting. Oh my gosh, I get chills. So Wednesday, the moon is still in Libra, but here's the thing. The moon is void of course all day long. She goes void Eastern time. So for my friends across the pond, she'll go void for you in the wee hours of Wednesday morning. But for here, us stateside, on the other side of the pond, it goes void right around midnight. So West Coast friends, it'll be like 9 p.m. And here's the thing. Remember, moon void, of course, means the moon's not doing anything. You shouldn't be either. So similar to a retrograde, you don't want to start anything new. You don't want to sign any contracts. You don't want to buy any big new purchases that are a little bit crazy and wild. You want to use that time for reflection. And this is such a beautiful setup from the universe. This is like the universe setting you up to get that volleyball spike, sports ball, yay. Shouldn't use sports and cards analogies. It's not my field of expertise. But here's the thing. You have an all-day void moon, of course, on Wednesday. And what that's going to enable you to do is just kind of float and reflect and say, I don't have to make any decisions, but let me spend time in the dark. Let me spend time in the quiet. Say, God, where am I going? What am I doing? What's my next best step? If you have a specific question around something, career, love, your well-being, your health, your relationships, take a moment, ask the question, and then sit in the dark or go for a walk and listen. Just be aware of what crosses your path. Beautiful process that I did when I was going through my priestess process training was we would do a walk in the woods, and right before you go into the woods, you pause and you ask your question. and you ask your question of source, of God. What am I doing? What do I need to know? Where am I going? What's my next best steps? Whatever your question is. And then you can lay something down like a stone or a leaf or a stick or a crystal and know that you don't have to think about the question anymore. It's being held for you. And you go and you walk and you simply notice what crosses your path. Do you see a bunny? Do you see a deer? Or the wind? Is the wind rustling through the leaves? Does the sound of water come to you? And you just pay attention to the signs and symbols. And then when you get through the other side of the path, you can decode them. You can see maybe you just had an insight or a download come through. But use Wednesday is kind of like the prep day for the download, because Thursday is when the insights come. So let me just pull a card for Wednesday's Libra moon, who's void of course. So this is saying, okay, you're testing your boundaries on Tuesday, trying to find the edges. Wednesday, hopefully you have a better idea of your boundaries, so you can kind of just be in that little floating space where you're like, okay, I'm just going to pay attention to what feels good, be open, beginner mindset, doing something new. Okay, how can you make the most of Wednesday's energy? I'm just seeing who pops up. Okay, 10th house. Beautiful. Look, walking in the woods. Holy cannoli, on the path. Go for a walk on Wednesday. I think that would be very helpful. So many problems can be solved from a nice long walk in the woods or even a nap. I love taking the walk. So here's the thing about the 10th house. This is your calling, your soul's calling. You know, why am I here? What am I meant to do? It's more than a job. It's more than work. Some people consider it career. Some people see it as the way you kind of come up and come into the world as far as showing yourself, different than the rising sign. But I think of like brand, I think a little bit of identity. But how are you showing up in the world? What is your soul calling? So something is stirring within you. That Leo new moon we had last Thursday was really about saying, hey, it's time to wake up. Stop playing small. It's important that you shine. And now with that Wednesday energy, it's saying, well, where are you meant to shine? Where are you meant to have that soul revelation, to follow your calling? So take time in contemplation and know that this goes beyond just mere day-to-day activities. This is something stirring deep within your soul that needs to be done. And Julie, you said amen to walks. Holy cannoli. Yes. So yeah, Romero, yeah, what talking about the boundaries, getting sick because you know about. Yeah. So what you're saying, yeah, I'll kind of summarize. Empaths and intuitives, it's so easy for us to pick up on other people's emotions and feelings and process it as if it were our own. And then essentially what we're doing is we're running a different energetic frequency. And it can make us sick. It can make us uncomfortable. It can make us just completely miserable, and it can drain our energy for sure. The other thing too is picking up intuitively on information and data that isn't freely shared. We can figure, like we just pick up on things, and it can make us uncomfortable because then we have certain insights and information about people that they wouldn't be sharing in public. So there's a lot of ethics. There's a lot of responsibility that comes from honing your intuitive abilities. And it's not like intuitives or empaths and psychics are walking around all the time reading everybody. That drive everyone nuts, that the intuitive and the others. It's just you pick up on things. So learning how to discern what's yours, what's not yours is one of the most impactful and powerful practices. It can make all the difference. Even if you were to just do that, you'd be light years ahead in the pathway of being an empath. Okay, so Thursday, we move into a Mercury Cazimi, and we still have that Libra moon. So she'll move into Scorpio later in the day, around 1:30. So we still have that moon void, of course, the beginning of Thursday. So try to avoid having big conferences or meetings or important activities Wednesday and Thursday up until about 1:30 p.m. Eastern, just because the other common saying with moon void, of course, is nothing comes of it. So let's say there's a bill you want to pay that you're late on. pay it during the void, of course. If there's an appointment that you feel like, oh, I really need to reach out to this person and set up a coffee date, but you really don't want to meet with, which is a terrible thing. It's not, but Libra in me is like, oh no, make it during the void moon, of course. Like you just reach out to them and say, hey, what about this date? Because it probably will fall through. So there are things and ways to utilize that void, of course, moon. It's not just like, oh, I can't do anything. Just avoid starting anything new or making big purchases. So Thursday, when Mercury goes Cazimi, which is later in the day, and I'm just curious about the time, about 7:40 p.m. Eastern, that's the moment, and it's the universe doesn't turn on the dime. It's not going to be like 7:40 exact. You're going to be feeling it coming in on Wednesday and Friday on both sides of Thursday. But Mercury Cazimi, that's when Mercury in the heavens above comes really, really close, right up snug against the sun, and they hug each other, and the sun amplifies whoever it connects with. And so the sun is amplifying the energy that Mercury symbolizes. And Mercury symbolizes intellect, thought, communication, insights. So that's why we're saying there's going to be an amplification of downloads. It's going to be a moment of clarity. And there's this great story that I came across that I really love to explain this. And it's kind of like, imagine that you are an actor and you are, behind the stage, and you're getting ready to go on, and you have your script in hand, a script that you wrote. This is a play that you created, and yet all these people edited it. That's a tongue twister. They added lines, they took away lines, added characters, took away characters, and you're looking at it, and it's a little bit confusing and a little bit like, I thought I knew the story. I thought I knew the play. I wrote this, but somebody's changed it. And then all of a sudden, the director, aka the sun, comes from the wings and says, oh, hey, here's your original script. We're going with that. And you get your script and you're like, oh, clarity. Yes, now I see. Now I have the truth. Now I know what I need to be doing and where I need to go. I don't have everybody else's data messing up my field, my energy field, my head, but I can follow my heartstrings and paths. Because here's the thing. We can be inspired by other people, and we can be motivated by what they're doing. And we can say, that's great. A formula's worked for them. I'm going to try their formula, whether it's for, let's say, health and wellness, like getting fit, working out, or whether it's for a business model. And then you try it on and it gets frustrating because you're like, I can't reach the level of success that they did. What's wrong? I must be failing. But this is that moment to pause and say, wait a second. What are the gifts I brought into this world? That's that South Node that came up at the very beginning. Where's my level of mastery? Things that I just innately know. How can that help me develop the skills I need to maintain my soul's calling, to step into my natal promise, to fulfill my heart's longing, my heart song, without losing myself along the way? Because somehow, some way, we'll need to tweak things. Think of the favorite food recipes you have. You might have a recipe and you're like, oh, it needs a little something. It needs a little bit more umami, a little bit of sugar, a little bit of salt. And you adapt and you change the recipes to suit your taste. And that's what I love to do. And that's why I call this alchemy. And my program, The Energy Alchemist, is the idea of, okay, we're going to taste all these things. We're going to try these sacred practices. We'll use the models and the formulas that have worked for other people, but we're like cooks in the kitchen, artisans. And we're like, it needs a little more cinnamon. It needs a little more soy sauce. Who knows? But know that you have the freedom to play. Okay, so with that being said, let's pull a card for that good old Thursday energy with Mercury Cazimi. What's most important that you need to know? Oops, and this guy really wants to jump out. Holy cannoli, Pisces. So interesting that she comes up, because here we have a moment of clarity, of truth. And Pisces, ruled by Neptune, can be that moment where we feel a little bit foggy or in illusion when she shows up in more of a lower vibrational way. But in the high vibrational aspect, she's very intuitive. So what I want to invite you to do is with that Mercury Cazimi that's coming, before you go to bed at night, write yourself a little question and ask yourself, whatever you're searching for, what do I need to know? What's my next best steps? How do I solve this problem? What's the solution? Write it before bed and pay attention to your dreams that are coming. There's a heightened sensitivity for sure with the Mercury Cazimi. Highly intuitive. You're getting incredible downloads. The void, of course, assists with that as well. So it's kind of like prepping the soil to receive the downloads. Okay. Then we move into Friday's energy. Friday, the very interesting thing is that Venus is doing a little dance in the sky. And Venus is having conversations with Saturn, so the planet of love, beauty, harmony, money, prosperity. Venus is talking with Saturn, the planet of discipline, responsibility. And it's a little bit of a heated conversation. And the conversation is one where I want to invite you to know that whatever insight and download you received on Thursday, by Friday, it might have stirred something up within you around, how you value yourself. Some of those old words. If you've ever had somebody put a label on you, like saying, oh, you're too much, or you're not focused, or you're yada yada, like English isn't your first language. You take a deep breath and you decide, you know what? A place where I put myself out there for love, a place where I put what I know in my heart to be true. I shared it in words in a book. If you have received that rejection, if you've been hurt, don't let that hold you back from trying again. Friday is a day of healing. It's a day of saying, okay, I might have to actually take a moment to look at where are the wounds, where have I been hurt or rejected, where have I been stung? And moving forward, what can I do to heal that part of my heart? Because the next conversation that Venus has is she squares Neptune. And Neptune is that planet of illusion. It's also a planet of intuition. And so, if there have been times when you've been disillusioned, where you came at life with the rosy glasses, you kind of believed the snake oil salespeople, you take a moment to pause and don't let that hold you back from taking the steps to reach your dreams, from the downloads and insights that came in on Thursday with the Mercury Cazimi. One of the things I noticed was I had a teacher when I started many a moon ago on energy healing, initiating the different sacred traditions of energy work. We'd have a big weekend coming up, like an intense immersive. And my teacher would always say, people get a little bit nervous and worried beforehand. And there are a lot of people who just won't show because they know that there are going to be revelations. There are things that had been kept in the dark that it's just easier, like, la, 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 I'm going to pretend like I can't see that. I can't deal with it. It's too much. I need to escape. It's too overwhelming. But what you do is you say, I'm going to learn the skills and the necessary tools that I need in order to navigate these waters with more grace and ease, so that when things get overwhelming, when we feel like we just want to escape and tune out, we say, you know what? I can sit with these really intense feelings. I'm going to go for a walk. I'm going to walk it out. I'm going to dance it out to a great song. I'm going to journal. I'm going to go into water and take a long shower or bath or swim. Knowing where your moon is when you were born can help a lot in how to process that stress. So that's something too that you might want to check out. If you want help with that, just reach out to me. But here's the thing. With that energy, what I'm going to invite you to do is I'm going to invite you to take a moment to pause and to ground. And that practice, irinamiller.co/get calm, is a grounding practice that will help you cut through the illusions. Because once you receive the insights and downloads on Thursday, you might just want to kind of like shrink and go back in and say, nope, I can't, I don't want to change. I've been rejected before. I've been hurt. I put myself out there. I'm not going to find the love. Or you might say, I've been disillusioned in the past. I had my rose-colored glasses on, and now I know the truth. I want to invite you to breathe and take that beginner mindset and do something just a little bit differently. whether that's actually making eye contact with the person, that you see in the grocery store and smiling and saying hello instead of kind of rushing through, or whether it's, stopping and having a conversation with the person behind you in the coffee line or wherever you are. Maybe you drive to work a different way. Maybe you call up a friend to go out for dinner when you wouldn't normally. Just do something a little bit different. Shake up the routine. And what that's going to do is it's going to create that strength, the new neural networks and pathways to make your brain more flexible to see and hear the guidance. Because it comes down to, there's a great movie many a moon ago called What the Bleep Do We Know? Have you seen this movie? Came out in the 90s. And I love it because there's a scene where the shaman is on the shoreline with his community and he sees something on the horizon of the ocean. And he's like, "Oh, what's that?" And he turns to his friends. He's like, "Do you see that?" But no, we don't see anything. And he said, "Well, it looks like a big tree moving on the water." And they said, "Oh yeah, we see something that looks like a tree." And then he said, "It looks like a big canoe." And they're like, "Oh yeah, we see a tree in a canoe." They couldn't see Christopher Columbus's boats because they had no frame of reference for it. It was right in front of them physically, tangibly, but their brain couldn't register it because they couldn't make sense of it. They had no way of understanding it. So when we get stuck in a routine, in the familiar things that are right in front of us that are tangible, like where are my glasses? Where is my phone? How many times have you done that? They're like on your head or like right in your hand. They become invisible to us. We take things for granted. That's why the practice of gratitude is such a powerful, potent, life-changing practice. We actually verbalize these things. We acknowledge them. We validate them. So that South Node reading for this whole week is just saying, take a moment to do things differently so that the things that have actually tangibly been around you in full form, you can see and you can register and engage with. It's very exciting because, gosh, I love talking about making the invisible world visible. That's what I do, working with subtle energies and all sorts of feelings and emotions and intuitive downloads. But what about the things that are like actually 3D tangible that we don't see? It happens. Oh my goodness. And yeah, you said you watched that. Oh, you just watched that movie the other day. Holy cannoli. I love that. See the synchronicities. We find each other, we come together. So it's going to be a fun week with that. Let's move into Saturday. So Saturday, the moon is in Scorpio, and Scorpio is deep. There's an intensity, there's a focus that comes over you. So if you want to get deep focused work done, Saturday is great for it. You just want to watch that you don't become obsessive about it. Kind of like, I just need to do this until it's done. Just give yourself limits. Because the thing about any of the water signs really is water and air. We're learning boundaries. We're learning like how much is enough, how much is not enough. And the Scorpios, what they tend to do because they are so intuitive and they feel so deeply is that they put up walls to block out the world because it's overwhelming. It's too much. They feel so much and they can come across kind of icy and reserved. But that's the way that they've learned to protect themselves. So again, that irenamiller.co/get calm. Great practice to build strong energetic boundaries that are permeable in the sense of the good stuff can come in. It filters out the stuff that isn't in your highest and best interest. And then you can engage with the world and you can have those deep, intimate connections that the Scorpions crave. The sign of Scorpio, they crave intimacy. They want to connect on a deep level, but they've been burned very badly in the past. So they want to wall things out at times. And then if they let someone in and that person burns them, then, that's a mortal wound. So it's a soul wound. What I invite you to do with that Scorpio moon is harness the energy. If there's something you really need to do with great focus, Saturday is a great day for it. Just set boundaries. Say, okay, by 6 o'clock, I'm wrapping up. Come hell or high water. Quite literally. I'm giggling because Scorpio is associated with Hades and the underworld and being able to connect with that energy of the other side. Okay, So, what do you need to know to make the most of Saturday's energy? Seventh house. It's about developing relationships, close one on one relationships. Um, this is very important for Scorpio to have those bonds and connections of those that they deeply trust. So, Saturday, I would invite you maybe reach out to a close friend or a loved one and have that time to connect. Go for a good meal, a good walk, and just be able to really enjoy one another's company. There's great healing in that. Okay, getting into Sunday. And Sunday, just to double check, oh, we do go into the Sagittarius moon Sunday early in the morning. So the moon changes zodiac signs about every 2.5 days. So depending on when it changes, like we might wake up to a new moon, it might change some way during the day. Go with the energy that you wake up with to set the tone of the day. So if you wake up and the moon is in Sagittarius, go with that energy. If she's still in Scorpio, you can kind of roll with that until she changes. But Sagittarian moons, they need freedom. And they are the truth tellers of the zodiac wheel. They're the ones who are going to tell you like it is. And they do it because they do it out of love. It's just great because they don't have a filter. So as a Libran who wants to be very diplomatic in what I share, and I might be like, oh, you might want to go to the bathroom before you take a picture with the local celebrity because we've just had a spinach salad. The beautiful Sagittarian will be like, oh, you got a huge hunk and piece of like spinach right there in your teeth. They're direct. They tell you as it is, and it's lovely. So what I want to invite you to do is Sunday, that truth bomb, that clarity that was revealed with Mercury Cazimi, you might have that ability to really kind of capture it and be honest with yourself. You might want to just go out and have fun and seek the adventure, seek the freedom and the play. So kind of listen Sunday is what's coming through, and know that when you go on the adventure, many of my clients who are Sagittarians, they're involved with travel, and the travel fills their soul. The adventures, you might really benefit from receiving the insights and downloads or integrating them by going on an adventure. Okay, so seventh house came up again. So that relationships are important this weekend. Find your buddy. Like when you're little in elementary school and they're like, who's your buddy? Who's your partner? Like we're going on the field trip. Find your buddy, your partner for this weekend, and have some fun. Have that soul level, intimate connection where it's like, I see you, like an avatar. I see you. And then go on a little adventure. Ooh, I'm excited. All of a sudden now I've got ideas in mind. Might have to go on an adventure with my hubby. So thank you so much for being here today. It's such a joy to come together in this circle live with all of you. If this has been helpful, please do like, subscribe, hit the bell to be notified when I go live each Monday, 9:30 a.m. Eastern. I really appreciate you doing that. It helps get this information out. It helps the channel. And it's such a joy to be able to share this journey with you. Thank you for being here. Thank you, Julie. Thank you, Chrissy. Thank you, Hannah. Thank you, or JA. I'm not sure what you go by, but lovely to have all of you here. And until we meet again, remember, trust your vibes, follow your heart. Have a great week and so much love to you. Mwah. Catch you on the flip side. Bye, guys.